to Amalga Gameia, the show where Retro Ridoctopus and Amalga Mania get together, join forces, and talk about cool crap. One of the people who are going to talk about cool crap is me, Boss Rush Mode from Retro Ridoctopus.
And somebody else might talk about cool stuff, like Nintendo.
Like me, really?
Like Nintendo. Wow. You talk about cool stuff.
I do. Sometimes.
Mr. 100 plus subscribers.
I know, right? What the fuck?
Right.
Man.
Nice.
Guys, legendary.
Yeah, I think I went up at least 50 subs in the past week, which is nuts. Really nuts.
And that wasn't all of us just subbing over and over again, because it would subtract.
Only 30 of those were me and my ghost account.
Got a bunch of people named Boss Rush Mode, like 1 through 50. Kind of weird.
And the only reason why it wasn't 150 is because I lost the passwords to the other 120.
Rough.
And I'm the boy, wonderful Ian Wallace. We'll be joining the fly guys from Retro Ridoctopus, giving you video game knowledge and going over some retro Gameia. And hope you guys enjoy the subject matter and the gameplay and all the fun we had putting this thing together for you. So with that said, I'm going to kick it over to the guys from Retro Ridoctopus, and they're going to get into Bloodstained.
So real quick, I'm 8-Bit Alchemy. I didn't introduce myself, but because I had to introduce Nintendo. Easy intro. But I can start off the discussion. So Bloodstained was a Kickstarter that was started a while ago now.
Like four years ago.
4 years ago.
Yeah.
And it is by the producer Koji Igarashi, who did a lot of the Castlevania games, starting with Symphony of the Night on the PlayStation 1. And
you may have heard of it.
Yeah, it's a little known game.
Grace the mental palate.
PlayStation 1.
One of those PlayStation 1 best hits with like the neon green spine. It's like so ugly, but it catches your eye on the shelf. So those games started a trend of Castlevania starting to become more like Metroid. So the genre Metroidvania was born, basically. And a lot of people really remember his Castlevania games fondly, but he had left Konami, and the Castlevania games that came out at that point were like one of the ones that are more like God of War.
Like Lament of Innocence and Curse of Darkness.
Well, he was still around on those.
Oh,
the ones that...
you mean the Lords of Shadow?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
So at that point, he was not with Konami anymore. And I think he did a lot of work with like mobile games, and the nature of the industry at this point has moved a lot towards like phone games and stuff. But then he
phoned it in.
Yeah, he really had to.
He's been phoning it in.
Paychecks are phoning it in. But so he did a Kickstarter, and it's for this game Bloodstained. And the idea was, let's make another Symphony of the Night type game, but have it be 3D and obviously not connected to Castlevania at all, because Konami owns that. And it's been a long time coming, but I feel like 3 of the 4 of us here today have played it and really enjoy it. So I feel like something went right. Something went really right here. And not for nothing, the game raised over like $6 million. It was the biggest.
Time, it was like the most money raised for an indie video game on Kickstarter.
Yeah, yep. It was.
And I think it only got beaten by Shenmue 3, which unfortunately was like very shortly after. So it didn't have the title for that long. But it was the fastest, like, highest money raised Kickstarter, which is nuts. Gamers love their stuff.
Yeah.
But I'll pass it off to someone else who can talk about like feelings of playing the game and stuff.
I love the fact that they blended the Symphony of the Night and Area of Sorrow, in the sense that with Area of Sorrow you collect souls, but with Bloodstained you collect shards, and I think that's awesome.
Because it makes it so
much more, and the more souls, the more shards you collect, the stronger that ability becomes. So I think that's
right. Cool. It's not just like getting abilities from beating a boss. Every enemy, for the most part, has an ability that you can get if you kill it enough, which turns the whole game into a treasure hunt. Like there's nonstop stuff to find. I know Boss Rush found like everything.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and like each enemy has like in Symphony of the Night they have like multiple drops, and those drops are like sometimes it's like food, sometimes it's just materials to craft equipment. You can craft equipment in this game, so you can like make humongous like end game weapons and stuff that are like super powerful. And so that's something you didn't quite get in Symphony of the Night. It's mainly just stuff you found in Symphony of the Night, and you could equip it and use it. But in this game, you can cook. You can cook a whole bunch of different meals, and each time you eat a meal for the first time, it permanently raises some of your attributes, depending on what it is.
Yep.
Which is great because, like, Symphony of the Night had so many food items that you would find, but it was just like a worse healing item. It wasn't as good as the potion.
It really was.
So in this, they kind of incentivized you.
Like, oh, I've got like 900 max energy. I'm down to like 75. I've got like 9 of these health items, like 10, 15, 10, 10. Like, oh, well, that was useless.
Right. Let me just eat this filet mignon.
Right.
This is worse than a potion. Castlevania taught me, drink your meals. Don't eat.
All of them. Right?
All the meals. Just drink them.
But other than that, you also have like the aforementioned crafting system, which you can craft armor, you can craft accessories, craft weapons, of course.
Yeah.
Ammunition for certain weapons, because you can get the whole. Yeah, you can actually use a bunch of different types. It's not just swords or whips. You can use spears, pole arms, guns. I may have mentioned whips. I may not have, but whips is included. So you can experiment with a whole bunch of different type of playstyles with the weaponry they provide you in this game.
Yeah, I think there's a really good replay value, not just because the game is so big, but there's so many ways to play the game well. It's kind of like people who, play through a Dark Souls game multiple times with different loadouts, because it's such a different game depending on what you're like equipped with, which is a really great reason to play through something again, because you just want to experience it in a different way. And there's no shortage of weapons. Like I mainly use spears, but if I play through it again, I would try something else.
Yeah,
so I like that.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I actually had a couple of questions before I got into my first opinion, doing the research for this game and checking it out. Metroidvania. This is the second time I've heard this reference. I just wanted to know if one of you guys could explain that to me a little bit better. I'm kind of out of the loop as far as that amalgamation of words.
Very appropriate for this here show.
Right.
You kind of briefly mentioned it. You want to continue on with the explanation?
Sure. Yeah. So, like, have you played Metroid?
Absolutely.
So, Metroid was one of the first side-scrolling games to allow you to backtrack and specifically get upgrades that would allow you to do things and explore areas that you couldn't originally.
Right.
Like, you'd have to go past stuff and then go back. And so, Castlevania, for the longest time, was just a straightforward, left to right, right to left scroller. But then starting with Symphony of the Night, they introduced things like a double jump, sliding, different abilities to let you pass through doors, turning into mist, like all kinds of different abilities that would let you explore the castle in new ways. And so a lot of people kind of saw the parallels, and like the gamer verse just spawned this term Metroidvania. And for the longest time, it wasn't official, but now games are specifically writing, this is a Metroidvania, like on the eShop.
There's a very large host of games that follow within those parameters. If you think about, like, there's a lot of games that were, because those were Metroid and Castlevania were two of NES's like blockbuster hits when NES was, the thing. And a lot of games came out to try to style themselves in like to try to follow the same formula. So it's awesome that those parallels were made in that day. I just was wondering where that word came from because I never had heard it before I did research for this.
It's interesting. It's not like Castlevania and Metroid were the only two games to do that.
No,
like, you have like Clash of Demon Head for the NES was a game that did that. I didn't play a lot of it, but it had similar things like that. I mean, even Zelda 2, really. Zelda 2 had a lot of exploration, but
and,
for some reason...
Castlevania 2 as well.
Yeah.
A lot of,
Simon's Quest.
Yeah.
It's a little infamous,
I think the thing that really linked them together, I mean, unless Clash of Demon Head had a similar thing, but like the map screens were very similar, where it's like blue squares would make up the map, and they'd They each get colored in as you progress through the map. And
Yeah.
Super Metroid particularly did the same thing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
that
the
kind
mapping
of
Clash of
really
Demon Head's
linked
really
them together.
bad.
My second question was the 2-player mode on this. Is it co-op or is it like 2 players on the screen, like old-fashioned arcade? You guys are scrolling together, left to right, and all over the screen. Or how does the 2-player work on this game?
So I haven't done any.
Okay.
Me neither.
Yeah, I've never tried it.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if that's a rolled out feature yet, or if they're still working on it. Do you guys know?
I saw the option for it, so I didn't know. When I was like I said, when I was doing the research, I saw that it had the 2-player option, but I didn't see any gameplay of it yet. So I was wondering if it was something that you had to have for having the whole full version of the game, or what.
Yeah. I mean, as far as I know, that feature just hasn't been implemented yet on any of the platforms. As far as I know, I could be wrong, but
the only thing I can think of
have it.
The only thing I can think of is maybe like you get different familiars, and it's possible like if you have a second controller plugged in, they could control like the little fairy or something that flies around with you. I don't know if that's true.
Okay.
It's worth checking out. But
and then a question for our audience: if you guys know something we don't know or have some information on this that we do not, please use your thumbs. That's why God gave you 2. Leave us a comment or 2. Let us know. Straighten us out. My first impression in this game when I saw it, because I never heard of Bloodstained until you guys mentioned it, and then I was like, okay, let me do some research. Started checking it out, and the first thing I noticed was how much like Castlevania this game was, and that was a good thing, because I love Castlevania. So I was like, this is a game that's similar that I've never played before, that looks different enough that I'd be interested in trying it out, and it immediately made me want to buy the game and play it. So that's definitely
games like Castlevania Judgment and the Castlevania Pachinko. I mean, classics like that.
Exactly.
Castlevania Mobile, pay to win.
Yeah.
Right.
So I immediately said to myself, I'm gonna play this one. But I was impressed just watching it. It looks like a fun game. Looks like something that you can get into. And now that I'm hearing all these different features about crafting weapons and cooking meals and using different spells and stuff, it just makes me want to try it that much more. And I saw the graphics for the game, and they're beautiful. Like the older versions of it were a little bit more choppy, but the PlayStation 4 version that I saw looked beautiful.
Yeah.
Well,
So
apparently there was like a huge uproar about the original graphics, and they actually overhauled the whole thing. They even one of the more recent trailers before the game was actually released, they kind of like poked fun at themselves. Like it would have some footage of like the old graphics, but it said crap first, and it wiped away, and it said old.
I saw that.
Right. New graphics, it would show like smoother graphics.
Yeah, and it's like old graphics. Poop Miriam. New Miriam.
The developer sitting in the chair, and he was like watching all the old footage, and he was like, fine. And he got up, and then they started showing all the new footage like next to the old footage. It was awesome. It was pretty interesting that they did that video. That's why I mentioned that, because it was awesome to see that comparison of the two, how much the games come from what it was to what it is. And I think that's great for any game to make those improvements and then be able to poke fun at yourself. Like, I think a lot of more games would be a lot more successful if they did that. Like, just didn't take it so seriously and just, do it for the fans, because that's what you're doing it for. If we all say your graphics suck and you need to do a better job, do a better job, or do the job you want to do.
Right.
Yeah.
Don't rush it.
So kudos to the developer for that. What was his name again?
Koji Igarashi.
Koji Igarashi.
Got it.
Awesome. Okay, so
Or
shout out
Iga.
to Koji Igarashi for being an innovator.
Iga. Just call him
Iga.
Iga.
Let's call him Iga.
Iga. Okay, shout out to Iga for being an innovator.
Iga.
But, was there anything else about Bloodstained that you guys wanted to mention, or just...
There was also an 8-bit version of the game. I forget what it's called. Bloodstained.
Curse of the Moon.
Curse of the Moon. Yeah, completely 8-bit, and it's like old school Castlevania, not Metroidvania. It's just old school Castlevania, and it's amazing.
It is.
It's so
it's
good.
really similar to Castlevania.
It's kind of like Castlevania 3.
Yeah.
Right.
Where you can gain characters and you can switch on the fly.
So let me ask
a right representation. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, a quick question. How many versions of this game is there? Because this is a different version as well. It's called Bloodstained something of
Ritual
the
of the Night.
Ritual of the
Ritual
Night. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's just
they're not
those
they're not the
two.
same game. One being like modern and one being 8-bit. It's a totally different game. It just got the same name and the same characters. It's
Okay.
not technically a sequel or prequel. It's just a make-believe, like weird
Yeah, like
spin-off
loose
kind of
It's like a
thing.
what if.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
And basically it was a stretch goal for the Kickstarter. And if they
Yep.
hit whatever threshold above their goal, they said, "Oh, we'll make a throwback side, like
Right.
old style game." And then everyone forgot about it. They randomly dropped the trailer for it, and everyone's like, "Holy shit, this looks better than the actual game that's supposed to come out."
Right.
This
Yeah.
is what like everybody's excited for. And yeah, it did not disappoint. It's
Yeah.
so cool.
$10, get it.
Gonna have to jot
Yeah.
that down on my list of
Yeah,
gimmies because I now want to play that one too.
it's super
yeah,
good.
It's If you love Castlevania 3, you'll love this one. It's really
That's
good.
honestly my favorite was Castlevania 3, and of course
mine too. Yeah.
I haven't played any of the new ones. So we're obviously gonna have to do a Castlevania show
We can definitely do that.
so I can for some of the newer versions of the game because I haven't really played. The last one I played was the one for Super Nintendo.
Oh,
Which is a hella good one.
Super Castlevania 4 or what was the
Dracula
other one?
X.
No,
Dracula X.
Dracula X, yeah.
no, not Dracula X. Super Castlevania. I didn't even play
yeah,
Dracula X.
Dracula X is really good. A lot of people crap on it though because it's a watered down port of the Turbo Duo version, I think, or
Yeah.
TurboGrafx 16.
yeah.
But
Which is
I don't know.
Blood.
You know
Yeah.
what? We're gonna scribe it in sand. No, we're gonna scribe it in concrete. We're gonna do a Castlevania show, and we're gonna invite Parasite Steve because he would probably kill us all if we didn't because he's a Castlevania.
Right.
Yeah,
So we'll invite Parasite Steve, and we'll do a Castlevania show, and he can yell at me for not playing.
This-
technically he was
this
invited to
should be a
one too,
Halloween
but he was, like,
episode.
on vacation, so.
Awesome. Oh, he is. Okay, awesome. So we'll catch him when he comes back, and we'll do a Castlevania show and talk about all the versions I missed. I guess rolling into Bloodstained, can we talk a little bit about the graphics, the style of graphics, what you guys thought about that, how it looked? I thought it looked beautiful, like I said before, but you guys playing it would know a lot better, and seeing some of the boss battles, seeing what the weapons look like after you've crafted them, what the menu items look like. Talk to us. What are we looking at here?
Graphically, the Switch version is obviously the worst.
It's inferior.
Graphically. It's very, very inferior. But it to me, it doesn't matter. The gameplay is still awesome. The only issue I have with it is when I'm talking to people, I experience slowdown like really bad
Same.
until I either get to a safe spot, or if I hit the menu button.
Okay.
And then go back to gameplay, it kind of like fixes itself. That's
It's
my
where it's like-
only
Heavy, it
issue.
weighs the game down.
Yeah.
Right.
And
And,
dialogue.
Right. And with the PS4, Parasite Steve has experienced text issues. Like some words are missing, but there's a space for the word there, but for whatever reason, the word is missing. But they're saying
Look for the Matrix.
Yeah.
right.
I
It's really weird.
Xbox One version, and I haven't noticed where it's missing, but then again, I just blow through the dialogue because I just want to hit things in the face with the weapon, right now. So,
Of course,
Greg,
but
as
things are
one
missing.
would.
you must be related, Greg.
But I have noticed.
That's after watching
typos
one
and stuff
episode of Walking Dead.
That's
As far as the Xbox One's graphics go, I mean, yeah, I think they look fantastic. The kind of 2.5D thing kind of going, kind of like 3D backgrounds, but like the plane you're playing on is like 2D, but the characters are still like rendered in 3D. I mean, I think I'm explaining that quite right, but it's not
2.5D.
it's not 2D pixels or anything.
Right.
But it looks great. I think they did a really good job with the graphics. A lot of people I've heard aren't super happy with it, but it's like, I don't know, what are you expecting? It's like a indie developer, and you're not expecting God of War graphics. I hope because
exactly. Like,
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
You're not going to get that.
A funded studio that has millions of dollars to play around with and hire staff to do this. This guy threw this together with his team and just made this happen. So yeah, it definitely shows the quality of craftsmanship. I mean, you may have a few texts missing, like you said here, a couple glitches in the Matrix, but we're having fun playing it. So
Yeah,
That's the
and
important thing.
not for nothing, I think that the PS4 and the Xbox One versions look really good. Like other people complaining on it, it's all up to personal taste and whatever. But side by side, if you look at the Switch version, you can tell just on its own that some sacrifices were made.
Completely different. Yeah.
But the PS4, the Xbox One, the textures are crisp, really good lighting. They have like incredibly detailed backgrounds with like, multiple layers moving by as you go. I think it's a great looking game, honestly.
I agree.
I agree 100%.
Yeah.
So the versions I saw side by side, it was just the improvement was so drastic, like you could see it just clearly.
Yeah.
So I can't imagine somebody complaining from an upgrade like that. You know what I mean? Like it would just be just asking for too much at that point.
I would think so. Speaking of asking too much, if I can like sidetrack to the music for a bit.
Yeah.
I think this is a fantastic soundtrack. I forget off the top of my name who composed the music, because the same composer did Symphony of the Night's music.
Yeah,
I know
Michiru Yamane.
that's the first thing.
Michiru Yamane, that's right.
When I heard the music.
But I hear a lot of people complaining that it's not that it's bad, it's just that it's not as good as Symphony of the Night. I'm like, okay, that's true, but how many games in the history of video games can even claim that? Like, not many. So to expect this one to be like at as good or even better is kind of asking a lot. I mean, I think it's really damn good.
Right.
Also,
So I mean, I've got no complaints with the soundtrack.
I really like the soundtrack, and I think some people just
play a
have.
couple of tunes in the middle of this when we edit it. We're gonna have to add a couple of tunes in here to.
It's so good.
Yeah, absolutely.
But people have impossible standards when you're comparing it to something that's so nostalgic and so treasured in so many people's hearts for games. So it's like people saying, "Oh, this RPG is never going to have music better than Chrono Trigger." It's like, well, that's so unfair to say, because Chrono Trigger is like iconic. It's like the Mario theme. So it's so tough to be unbiased.
Yeah, this thing I love dearly is like a 9.5, and this is only an 8.8, so it's a failure.
Right. And it's like, but if you reverse the two and you had played the game with the soundtrack of Bloodstained when you were like 12, 15 or whatever, you'd probably worship.
Or 25 in my case.
Yeah, whatever. It's just a matter of what came first. And it's just everything else is compared to that. So, I don't know.
Plus, people like to complain, so.
That is true.
They do.
They like to complain about stupid shit.
They really do.
Yes, they do. So I guess that wraps it up for our review of the game Bloodstained. Please check it out. It is available on almost all of the platforms, so it is not hard to find.
PC, Switch, Xbox One, PlayStation 4.
Yeah.
Not the Wii U.
Not the Wii U.
Definitely
They
check it out.
canceled that one.
Yeah, they canceled that one because they discontinued the system.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
They were also going to do a Vita one as well, but they canceled that as well.
Oh, yeah,
Right.
that's right. Yep.
Or Vita.
Okay. Well, definitely check get your own copy, and let us know what you think. Leave a couple comments if you have played the game before and want to let us know something, and or want to agree or disagree with some of the points that you've heard. We would love to hear from you.
Yeah.
Blaster Master. Mike, did I get it right that time?
You did.
Blaster Master.
If I can segue for you.
Yes, please.
We talked about all these games that were like Metroid and Castlevania with exploration, but we very carefully did not mention Blaster Master
Right.
because we're doing it right now.
I almost mentioned Flash, and I'm like, no, I'm gonna keep my mouth shut.
Right. So
Yeah,
here we
I
go.
have a hard time thinking about it. Like, yeah. Let's not.
Right.
Yeah. That's
So without further ado, here's the one that you've all been like, oh my god, just say it.
Blaster Master.
Yeah.
Master.
Blasting
Gotta say it with
again.
Boston accent.
All of the masters got blasted.
Oh yeah. No master was spared.
I played this game religiously, fanatically. as a kid. I loved it. It was the greatest game that had ever been created on Nintendo at the time when I was playing it, until the next greatest game that had ever been created on Nintendo.
Ninja Gaiden? I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. Like right around the same time. This is around the same time as Ninja Gaiden. So like, the next fad got me off of it. But I remember playing this game like daily, and I would never get tired of it. It was an adventure. It was a lot of action. It had a lot of cool features to it. I mean, for what it was at the time, it just really blew me away. It starts off with a story about a kid named Jason who loses his pet frog down a hole in the earth,
like we all do.
Children do, and he decides to go down into the hole, which of course makes a lot of sense. And he finds a tank named Sophia, and
we can't forget to mention the radioactive box.
Well, yeah, I mean that's what he needs Sophia for, is to kill all the radioactive.
Because it happens to be a box of radiation in this hole in his backyard.
Right, in his backyard, and he goes on this journey to save his pet frog friend, and he realizes he has to destroy all the radioactive mutants that are roaming around under the ground in the back of his house.
Because they're going to totally ruin his backyard.
Yeah,
that's what's at stake here.
And Jason goes on this quest to find his frog, which you got to give it to this guy for having a dedication to go down in a hole and drive a tank and destroy mutants to get his pet frog back. This kid is an animal lover.
Yeah.
And
it's like it's his dog. It's a frog.
Exactly.
Like the frog's probably not even going to live that long. Period. But he's got to save
a year or two, and then
that's all he's got.
Right.
But you start off with this tank, Sophia, which is an awesome name for a tank. I don't know.
So badass.
Am I the only one who thinks that? Like, whoever
that is pretty cool.
Whoever made that decision, awesome name for a tank. And
when I get a tank, I'm naming it.
I get a name, Sophia.
Yeah.
Sophia the Fourth.
No,
Yep.
I'll just name my Yara Sophia.
And this thing was like, it was like a race car and a rocket ship and a tank and like a monster truck all rolled up into one thing.
Parasite Steve calls it the tank car.
It is the tank car.
Tank car.
That's how Parasite Steve
the
puts
Thunder
it.
Tank. It's the Thunder Tank.
With that voice, the tank car.
The tank car, yeah.
Tank car.
I can live with that. I can definitely live with that. It's so sleek looking. It's awesome for the graphics that it was at the time as a kid. I imagine I wanting to be in this thing and just see what the inside looks like. And then you press the start menu and you can change the weapons and the effects to it. And the fact that they had these different effects and weaponry on this in this menu that you can select from, and the diagram of the tank and everything, it just made you feel a lot more immersed in the game, and you actually started to care for this machine and wanted it to get the upgrades and wanted to make sure that it was badass, and it just sucks you right in. And playing it recently to get the footage for the gameplay here brought me right back. And by far the coolest thing about this game to me initially was the fact that Jason gets out of the tank and has his own little levels to explore, and it was just awesome to be able to switch from back and forth. And it was like having two different games or playing two different games where you're
two very different games.
Exactly. You're Jason running around with your space gun or I don't know, tank cock gun and different animals and mutants and stuff, and then you get to upgrade the weapons, and as you upgrade, the gun just goes crazy and wipes out all of existence in front of you. It's great. It's a great game. I recommend it to anyone who's ever picked up a joypad or joystick or mouse or keyboard or what have you. Definitely check it out. The graphics for it, I mean, obviously are 8-bit. They're not anything to super write home about or trip over yourself about, but they were awesome for the time that they were there. And they're
Nintendo
now,
very detailed.
It's great too,
and they're still
especially
good.
like the level 5 crab boss is just ridiculous.
So amazing,
right?
Yeah,
agree. For that level of technology at the time, they really did spare no expense on the bosses. Like I had a lot of fun just playing the boss battles. Even now, it was like even though it was like the tank movement when you're Jason and you can only go certain ways, and it was just awesome. It was awesome to play it again. So I guess that does it for everything I have to say about it. What do you guys think about the game overall? I know you guys have all played it. What do you guys think?
Oh, I've never beaten this game. Never beaten it, but I love it. I love it. It's a fantastic game. The graphics I love, so bright and crisp, and the soundtrack is like one of the best in the system.
Agreed.
It's excellent, and I love the fact that your car kind of like changes. Like you can like hover, like the wheels actually move in a certain way, and it just like levitates, and it's just amazing.
A lot of attention to detail.
And it turns into a submarine.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's just
upgrades are so substantial in this game, and they really allow for like more vast exploration.
Oh yeah, you can go everywhere and anywhere, up, down, left, right. It seems like a scroller, but the way the levels are, it's like you can go anywhere. You can go all the way down to the sea.
There's a lot of vertical scrolling too.
Right.
Oh yeah. There's
it's like Metroidvania.
It is. There's an alternate dimension where Metroidvania never happened, and we just had like Castle Master or
Castle Master.
Blasteroid.
Blastermania.
Now that's the game I
Blastermania.
would play.
Yeah,
If
Blasteroid.
you play Sophia, I'm in.
Let's do it.
Give me a Sophia. I'm into Blasteroid all day long. Let's do
Sounds
it.
bad. That's a
Not to
dimension I
mention-
want to be in.
Another thing too, that the animation in this game is top notch for the NES. It's
Yeah.
amazing.
Just
Yeah,
the
it really
little
is.
wheels that rotate as you're driving. They look so cool.
That always
It's
blew
such
me
a
away
small
as a
detail.
kid. That
Yeah,
blew me away as a
they're
kid.
so awesome.
It's a simple thing, but I don't know,
Yeah.
as a kid, that was huge. That was
It really was like just the moving parts and him being able to get out the tank and swim and jump and climb ladders and take damage from enemies. And then there's certain enemies that like the little landmines where you can jump out and shoot them before the car has to
Yeah.
roll over them. And
Yeah.
You got to work together.
it was so awesome, like to be able, like I say, you were playing two different games at times, and Sunsoft really, I think this and the Batman versus the Joker game really stood out to me around this time when they came out because they were
yeah.
just as good as around the same quality. So I got to say, Sunsoft really was knocking it out the park around this time in Nintendo's history. So
Both the Batman games from Sunsoft were amazing.
Yeah.
I felt.
now
I think there was a third one too, but I've never played it.
Oh, the third one was from Konami. That was the beat 'em
Oh,
up
was it
based on
Konami?
the
Okay.
movie. Yeah.
Now the first two for Sunsoft were awesome. I definitely remember
Yeah.
playing those two.
So
and
good.
it was definitely ridiculous good.
And actually, another Sunsoft game that was similar to the overhead Blaster Master parts was the Gremlins 2 game.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, that's right.
another good one.
It kind of had similar mechanics when you're walking around as Gizmo as you
Okay.
do as little, Blaster Master Man.
Right.
Oh, awesome. Okay, I gotta try that one out. I never played the Gremlins 2.
Oh,
It's
it's
really
awesome.
cool.
It's really good. The music's fantastic too.
Yeah,
And
oh, yeah.
awesome and
Right.
amazing cutscenes too, kind of like Ninja Gaiden.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, really good.
Ninja
Really
Gaiden,
good.
Ninja Gaiden and Blaster Master were, I think, the two that really stood out as far as cutscenes and the animations in between. Was like you were watching a cartoon, basically. It was just awesome.
How cool would that have been? A Blaster Master cartoon?
Oh,
That would have been sick.
I mean,
Oh,
it seemed like, to me, it didn't seem like it was that popular. I think I was like one of, because you had your friends who all played Nintendo too, and everybody over everyone's house and trades the cartridges and all that. But I just don't remember a lot of kids being like, yo, Blaster Master's awesome. I think I must have been like one of the only kids in my neighborhood who really like loved playing it and thought it was awesome. I might have seen like maybe one or two other people with it. It was like, didn't seem like it was that popular at the time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe not. One of the things about
amazing.
the original Blaster Master that I always found difficult was there's no map.
Yes, that was
Right.
my big
Okay.
issue with the game.
Okay.
So no map.
Yeah, so I would get
Just nowhere
lost.
to tell where you're supposed to go.
Right.
Right. Or like even what place connects to where, because I just forget. You just kind of like
And then you're
go
kind of
linear.
And you know what? I got to say, honestly, as a gamer from then till now, I miss that. I kind of miss that. I think the maps and the HUDs have
They make it
spoiled
easy.
gamers. Like, I
Yeah.
remember when you really had to just do it 9 times before you
Mhm.
realized, like, did I
Like
pass
figure it out.
Did I pass that statue there, or was that? I must have
Or draw your own.
took a left with the wrong gargoyle here, and that's how it worked. You had to go over it 8 or 9 times before you realize, like, yeah, I must have done this, and I miss that element. I think I still do
It's
it
more
Yeah.
of an investment. Yeah.
because, like Greg, I read nothing and I just bash things.
Yeah. There isn't much to read in Blaster Master, so that's good.
See, yeah, it's just
Right.
Hence, loving it.
shoot
Oh,
everything.
Shout out to Noka Kadaka, who composed the music for Gremlins and Blaster Master. Fantastic music in both those games, and a lot of Sunsoft games that he composed music for. So absolutely awesome job that he did on those early Nintendo games.
Yeah, that dude's a legend.
I think the
Unsung
only
hero.
thing about this game that I've ever heard, as far as reviews and people have talked about it, was the difficulty. At the time, it was like,
It's hard.
why is this game so hard? Like, and I think that's awesome too. Like, I don't want a game that I can beat in 2 seconds and then I spent $60 to play this game for 10 minutes and it's over. Like, I want a game that, that was one of the things I remember playing as a kid was like, I hated this game at the same time that I loved it because I couldn't ever, excel to the next level. And it was like, ugh, but I wanted to try.
Right.
So that was,
Yeah.
I don't know. I think that's a good element personally. Like the difficulties for me, as long as you don't make it impossible, like the Jason Voorhees game, whatever demons conjured that monstrosity, just impossible.
Is that LJN?
Where you're throwing rocks
Yeah.
at the serial killer.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, get a better weapon.
That game gave me post-traumatic stress, I think. I was really freaked out. Rocks. The guy's got a machete, and they throw rocks at him. It'll work out for you.
You'll get him. You'll scare him off. You won't die, though.
But I digress.
But that one had a sharp point.
Right.
I know. If anything, we're just inconveniencing him. It's
Right,
not going to
yeah.
kill him.
Minorly inconveniencing the poor serial killer.
Maybe if I piss him off enough, he'll kill me faster and it won't hurt as much.
Oh, but definitely check this game out. Blaster Master Sunsoft. You can catch it on. They did make a Twitch. No, not a Switch. A Switch version.
Yes.
They made 2 of them apparently.
They made 2 of them,
Yeah.
yeah.
And I didn't see the difference from the Nintendo version. Shoot me.
So actually,
there is differences.
There
a
are.
pretty cool, common thread for this episode is the company that made the retro version of Bloodstained
Mhm.
also made the new Blaster Masters.
Nice.
So that company is Inti Creates, and they are super good at making new retro stuff. And so they did Bloodstained Curse of the Moon, and then also Blaster Master Zero and Blaster Master Zero 2. All 3 of those games worth your time and money. So good.
Agree.
Yeah,
But
they're really good.
play the originals too. But if you don't have access to that, you don't have an original Nintendo.
Well,
If
play
you
the
have
original
Switch.
one.
Yeah.
Right.
Most of the other ones are
Don't play
not
the
very
other
good.
ones. There's
Yeah,
way
the-
too
the-
many
the other
bad Blaster
sequels-
Master games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you have a Switch, and I think it's on PC now, you can get Blaster Master Zero, and that's an amazing time.
Okay.
It's
Definitely
really
gonna have to check it out.
yeah,
That's one I actually beat. I actually
Nice.
beat that.
I don't think
Nice.
anyone here has beaten the original Nintendo version. Like I don't think anyone's beat. It's almost an impossible game to beat. So I definitely.
I know one person.
You have,
that.
Greg?
Yep. Greg has.
I've watched him beat it in a single
Get
sitting.
out of here.
It's
Yeah.
impressive.
See.
I've
Do
only-
you know about the tricks to beating some of the bosses? Like if you throw a bomb at a crab boss or something, you hit pause, it continuously
Keeps
injures.
eating them up.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah, it
the
keeps-
the frog
I
enemies
forgot
and the
about
weird.
that.
Yeah.
I remember.
Like,
I
frog
did that.
enemies
couple
and,
bosses
the weird
do that.
crustacean
You could do that.
enemies. Yeah. You hit them at a certain point and you pause the game and the hits just keep registering over and over again. And then you unpause it and he's dead.
This is the only thing about smoking pot that's bad. I would have remembered.
This is the one thing.
This is
Yeah.
the
You
one.
forget Blaster Master
I've been
C.
playing this game like the
Doesn't
last
work with every boss.
Yeah, I've been playing this game for like the last week, and on the bosses, I get all nervous, and I'm like, you remember how when we were kids and you
Right? You always try to steer it.
Yeah.
and trying to make the thing steer, and it wasn't analog, but you still did. And I've been doing that. And I forgot that the bombs, when you press start, it continues to damage them. Thanks for that. Thanks for that. That's
Just,
all.
just be warned. It does not work on every boss.
Okay, no, I can.
Right. Just on 2
Still
of them,
worth a
right?
try.
Both the frog bosses, I think it works
Yeah.
on.
Yeah, and the weird long-armed, not the 5th boss, not the crab 5th boss, but the other weird crustacean. I don't know. I have no idea how to explain it, but they
The
got
army
really long-
guy.
Well,
Arm.
there's a tip.
Army.
We rolled up a tip there for you guys, so you guys can have that too. So there's a little gem for you. And of course, as is custom, now that we've discussed both our games and all of the fine points to it, we can't let you go anywhere without offering you a little something. So please, in the comments down below, let us know which one of your favorite video games that's like Blaster Master or Bloodstained and what you like about it. And we have a little something we're going to give away. Oh.
Use pair bundle. Oh. Oh, nice.
Ooh.
This is a Zelda box, and it comes with a collectible coin, a Triforce plush, a journal, a drinking glass, a vinyl decal, and a coin bank, an exclusive mystery vinyl collectible inside that we don't know what it is.
Because it's a mystery.
Right.
Nice.
Did anybody else do that when they were kids? Walk up to the presents under
It
their
comes
tree?
in 16 pieces.
Because you can tell what's in it.
Oh, there
21.
was only one when I wrapped it.
And I figured, a mystery box with all kind of awesome Zelda items in it wasn't enough. Wasn't enough work to gather that for you people. So I figured I'd get you a map of Hyrule.
Oh,
nice.
Never get lost again.
In case you're wandering around and you get lost and you got to find, you need to take something with you on your quest. Here you go.
Now, if you get lost in Blaster Master for the NES, just grab the
screwed.
Zelda map. You're good.
No, you're not.
Is that a rolled up map?
But
Ian, was that a rolled up map?
Yes, it was.
Okay, like for holding it like that, I thought, all right, it's weird because like I was looking at it through the side, I thought it was a ruler. So like Hyrule,
A
Hyrule. I'm like, that's what's going through my brain.
Is that even
Greg, I have never.
It should be.
It should be a
The Hyruler.
A Hyrule.
Yes.
That's literally what I thought it
needs
was.
to happen. That really needs to happen. I'd get one.
Also, a Zelda Caesar's Palace mashup called Zelda High Roller by HY.
There you go.
And it's all gambling.
Hyrule Casinos, maybe, perhaps.
Maybe.
Hyrule's Palace.
Hyrule's Palace.
But definitely let us know one of your favorite retro games, what you like about the games that we were playing, one of the retro games that we've talked about so far. I think we've done Burger Time so far and Blaster Master. Let us know what you guys think. And you could be walking away with a Zelda box chock full of gaming goodness.
How can you say no?
Say that three
You
times
can't.
fast.
That's right to that. You couldn't do that.
Zelda box chock full of gaming goodness. I'm already tired.
See?
Tired.
Tired?
I even
I had a long day.
exhausted.
I can't even say it 2 more times. Done.
Well, that has been our show. We are glad you guys could have joined us to, talk gaming and explore some of the games that we've played and go over some of the fine points of what makes these games awesome. We look forward to having you guys along for the next show. We don't know exactly what it's going to be about, but definitely tune in. I'm sure it's going to be about something awesome.
As always.
And we are going to be doing the Castlevania show, so be on the lookout for that as well. Thanks for
That
viewing.
could be like, retro and modern.
Exactly. You do a retro and modern motif. That would be great.
Yep.
All right. So without further ado, I'll let the guys say goodbye. And this is the boy Ian Wonderful signing off for Amalgamania.
And Boss Rush Mode from Retro Ridoctopus saying farewell until the next.
This is Nintendo saying goodbye.
This is 8-Bit Alchemy bidding you adieu.